The inside word on Star Trek Generations is next, with the writers who decided to kill off Kirk, the captains who became fast friends, and the android who steals the movie.
The Sci Fi Channel presents Star Trek Return of the Next Generation with host Mike Jerrick.
We're at a Star Trek convention in Burbank, California, where the Trekkers are buzzing about the demise of their favorite TV series and the fact that the next generation is shifting to the big screen. But this is all par for the course when it comes to Star Trek fandom. Star Trek fans, affectionately known as Trekkers, are often regarded with both awe and amusement by the outside world. And though they may appear a bit overzealous at times, their undying devotion to Star Trek has kept the series boldly going where none have gone before for almost 30 years.
We're a team. We go to all the conventions together as much as possible.
Star Trek just brings out the best in everybody. They try to show equality for everyone, and I think that most Star Trek fans see that, and it brings everybody together. Everybody's a little more friendly, a little more happy to see each other. You see a Star Trek fan, on the street, you don't know them, your first instant, hi, I am a Star Trek fan too, so I think that helps a lot.
Star Trek fandom not only survived the demise of the original series, it endured a decade-long drought before Star Trek the Motion Picture finally materialized in 1979.
It's incredibly resilient, and there's just so many different kinds of people involved who come out to the conventions. Obviously, the media focuses on the people with pointed ears and the costumes and all that, but if you look beyond that, you have your families and grandmothers and scientists and mathematicians and all sorts of people who come to conventions, and I think it's kind of cool. It just brings everybody together.
Star Trek fans virtually wrote the book on organized fandom in the United States. They initiated the first successful letter-writing campaign to save the original series. But when the Next Generation took TV by storm a few years ago, the Star Trek phenomenon grew exponentially.
I am part of a club that supports the Klingon Empire.
The wide popularity of the Next Generation cast has far surpassed the cult status of the crew from the original Star Trek.
His real name is Michael Dorn, but people like to call him Dorn.
On any show you do, you get some fans, but not like this. Like when I do the conventions, it's like you're the best comedian in the world, because I mean you get out there, and I'm a big ham anyway, and so I have a good time on stage, and it just is a wonderful experience because they like you, they genuinely like you or like your character.
You gave up the Penn State Pit game to come here?
You have to be very kind to your fans. I'm married to Jeannie Francis, who is a wonderful and famous actress, and I spent a lot of time watching her deal with her fans long before I got this job. Her generosity and kindness has paid off, and their fans are no different than anybody else. They just happen to watch the show. 99.9% of the time, that's true, and those are pretty good odds.
Though The Next Generation was enormously popular with millions of TV viewers, not just Star Trek fans, Paramount chose to stop production on the show and send the entire cast off to moviedom.
Luckily, they still have Deep Space Nine, and hopefully Voyager will be able to take its place, but I don't know, I really liked it. It's kind of a bummer that it's off.
Even most of the Next Generation cast members were unhappy that the series ended while it was still so popular. But most have moved on to other projects and are looking forward to their reunion on the big screen every 2 years or so.
Star Trek Generations. The story of two bald captains in search of a good Hercules.
Most loyal fans are beginning to get past the untimely end of The Next Generation. They're looking toward a positive future with more Trek movies and TV shows. And after all, isn't that what Star Trek is all about? Now, an early version of the script for Star Trek Generations was leaked on the global computer network internet about a year ago, and that got zealous Trekkers and empath wannabes speculating. But really, there are only two humans on this planet who know the what, where, and whys behind the film's storyline. They are Brannon, Braga, and Ronald D. Moore, former producers on The Next Generation, and currently very hot Hollywood screenwriters.
You're a Starfleet officer. You have a duty.
I don't need to be lectured by you. I was out saving the galaxy when your grandfather was in diapers.
So Paramount commissioned two versions of this script?
They commissioned two scripts, two separate scripts. Brannon and I were asked to write one script in conjunction with Rick Berman, who's also producing the film. And then they also had Morris Hurley, who executive produced The Next Generation in its second season, to develop a separate script. So it wasn't like two versions of the same story. They were two separate stories.
What were some of the musts? What did you have to have in this movie?
The only thing that was a must was getting Kirk and Picard together and doing it. And another stipulation was, let's not do regular time travel. Let's find something new and interesting, a new and interesting way to get these men together.
Were you two Star Trek fans before you started working on this show?
I was. As a kid, I was very into the original series. I loved it and, you know, really got into it. I grew up in a very small town, and there weren't conventions by us, and there wasn't much material in the early 70s, so I just sort of thought I was the only one that liked it. But, yeah, I was a fan of the original series.
But not you so much?
I've never seen the original series. I've never seen it. I've only seen a brief snippet of it, and that was where a midget was controlling Kirk's mind, and Kirk had a dagger.
Yeah,
and that's all I've seen.
That's Greek all I've togas. Seen. Plato's stepchildren, the fans know.
Understanding the obsession of Star Trek fans, do you hear their voices while you're writing?
We get a lot of letters, and we talk to the fans here at the conventions, and we definitely take into consideration what they say, but the bottom line is following our own instinct.
Okay, honestly, have either one of you ever dressed up as a Star Trek character?
Gosh. No, I've never dressed up like any Star Trek character.
I'm a little disturbed that you had to think about it, though.
But when we write, we do bad impersonations of the characters because you're trying to get their voices right. So if you were to walk by the offices at Star Trek, you'd hear lots of bad
Patrick Stewart impersonation. Number one, set course for, you know, we just, Captain, you know, we're always doing that.
We're a little bit actors, and as well as writers.
So when Kirk and Picard met, who was Kirk?
I was Kirk, because I knew that character.
Well, the news is out now. You guys killed Captain Kirk. Why did you decide to do that?
This is our writing process. One of us is standing and walking, the other one's writing. And we sort of trade off as we get tired. And I'm walking and doing, and this happens, and then that happens, and then Kirk says his final line, and then Kirk dies. And I just, suddenly it just sort of hit me that I just sort of killed a childhood hero.
Let me just say, I thought he had said Kirk fly. So I was here writing this sequence where Kirk takes off flying with Picard in his arm, and this whole thing, it was a big misunderstanding.
We had to go back and do it again.
Yeah, the second draft has turned out much different than that.
Do you think Gene Roddenberry would like this movie?
I would like to think that Gene would appreciate it. You know, it has a lot of elements in it that are similar to things that he used to put in the original series and at the beginning of Next Generation. It's a rousing action-adventure tale with a lot of humor. And Gene was always, he liked a lot of fun in the shows. You know, when Gene was with us, he always liked the characters to enjoy themselves and have fun and do more humorous kinds of things. So I think Gene would like it.
Are you guys ready to write the 8th Star Trek film?
It would be nice to revisit these characters again, because I kind of miss them.
I know.
You know, we were with these, this was like being with the family for a long time, and if we continue to do movies, it's going to be like visiting the family every couple of years for Christmas versus seeing them every night for dinner.
Next, why only 3 of the original Star Trek cast members were beamed aboard Star Trek Generations. And Rick Berman clears up persistent rumors about the film as this Sci Fi Channel special continues.